So synergy requires a whole systems point of view. And if we're building anything, what we generally do is we start down here and then we look at the parts. Whereas a syntropic, yes, Tiago, is to start up here and look at the whole and then figure out what parts are needed. It's completely and absolutely not the way we're trained to do things. And so the principle of synergy is kind of like if there is one rule to lead them all, one ring to lead them all, whatever, if there's one of these. It's the principle of synergy. It's the number one. And so the behaviour of the whole cannot be determined by an examination of the parts taken separately. I'll repeat it. Please. The behaviour of the whole cannot be determined by an examination of the parts separately. And I'm going to give you some really clear, simple examples. If we take an explosive metal and a poisonous gas, two components, explosive metal and a poisonous gas, would you be delighted to associate any of those with what you eat every day? Explosive metal, poisonous gas. Would you go, yeah, I'm going to eat that? No. Sodium chloride, table salt. It doesn't matter how much you examine the gas or the metal. It doesn't matter how genius you are. You will never determine that when you put the two of them together you get table salt. Ever determine that. The only way you can determine it is take table salt and then figure out the parts. Yep. So the other one, which is just the classic we all know, is it doesn't matter how much you dissect and examine a caterpillar, you're never going to find a butterfly. Like, you're just not. It's not there. You have to go to the end and understand that this is where it happens. So synergy means that we can take it's the whole principle of metallurgy. It's everything that lives behind metallurgy, is that we take substances and combine them, and their tensile strength is not 10x, it's 1,000x. Like, that's where exponential for me really lies. It lies in the synergetic relationships that we can create. And so if you want to do anything and have an exponential curve, apply the principle of synergy. Foundational. But it also means if you're trying to solve a big problem, classic in organisations, try and solve big problem. If you don't have all the information, and if you don't have all the point of views and opinions, you're looking at it, through this, not that. We're conditioned to respond to the parts, but we actually need to see the whole as the starting point and then come backwards. Does that make sense? Yeah. And part of this also means that if you're designing something, you want to know what the end point is that you're designing to, and then come back and figure out how you're going to get there. Rather than the way we do design, which is here we are, bump, 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 lose this bit, lose that bit, relationships break up, etc., etc. So the principle of synergy is the fundamental starting point. And so in shorthand, it means 1 + 1 + 1 is anything greater, obviously, than 3. But I'm going, that's pretty boring. Because if you really want synergy to work, you need an exponential, it needs to be greater. Anything greater than, let's just be kind and go 100. And so if we apply this to humans, because we're human systems.
Wait, what?
What?
Why apply the extra 97? I don't. Isn't it magic to be able to create 3.1?
It is.
I don't understand the number. So.
Okay, so okay, good question. So let's just say that you and Ty and I were doing a project together. Yeah? We're doing a project together, yeah?
All right.
Okay. If, when we work together, if the outcome of us working together isn't just 3.1, in other words, it's not just your capacity, and my capacity, it's just a little bit better than that, it's like, what? That's a very inefficient system. If it's less than that, we need to reorganise. Yeah? He's going, Ty's going.
I'll see you.
So, you think about it. You think about when you get together with somebody else. We've done this. We've had we're working on something.
Yeah.
Boom. There is not a chance that you could have done it on your own, or I could have done it on my own. What emerges is something that we couldn't see, couldn't taste, couldn't touch, couldn't feel until we worked on it together, and there it is. I could have put 75.
Yes.
The number, I am holding, we're the people that are doing this work, applying. I'm holding you to a higher standard. If it's just 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, stay home.
But I think, I completely understand the idea that synergy equals more, but is it 1 + 1 + 1 = lever, or 1 + 1 + 1 = transformation? I this just feels awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I don't mind what it is, but I feel like this is so fundamental to everything. We're here to.
Yeah, we'll do infinity. Yes.
Can I just make a comment that it's the 1 + 1 = alchemy rather than trying to. Yeah, we've all jumped into.
You like alchemy?
Yeah, well, just whatever that's simple for alchemy.
Yeah, we've jumped into immediately putting numbers up there. It's that
Magic.
Yeah.
The point. So there's layers within this. There's layers because if we start with this, we're actually starting at ground level. We're starting with the combination. Whereas to really understand the principle of synergy, you have to understand the whole. It's imperative. So Bucky would say, start with the universe first. We have to start thinking whole systems, and we're not trained to think whole systems. We're trained to see parts, and so this is where my total and absolute trust in humans lives, is because I know that take human minds, not brains, human minds, and their creativity, and create the right environment, which is really critical for human minds to really be all the potential that they have. And you cannot stop this from happening, which means that there is nothing that we can't do to create a better world for humanity and Earth. This lives in that principle.